Chosen one. You are not here by accident. Heaven has aligned this moment with divine precision, drawing you into a revelation you were destined to hear. The Spirit declares that you are standing at the very edge of a supernatural shift, a divine wealth transfer prepared for the Anointed One who refuses to faint. What was hidden is being exposed, and what was delayed is now being released. As it is written, no good thing will he withhold from those who walk uprightly. This is your appointed hour, your prophetic summons. Still your spirit, chosen one. Heaven is about to speak. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every spiritually anointed life when heaven refuses to let you continue walking blind. A moment when the Most High interrupts your routine, your patterns, even your relationships, to reveal what your heart was too pure to discern on its own. And whether you realize it or not, you are standing in that moment right now. I know this space well because I have lived through it, through the sting of misplaced trust, through the quiet heartbreak that comes when someone you once defended ends up being the very one who wounds you in the shadows. I've been there, chosen one. And because I've walked through it, I can tell you that what feels like exposure is actually elevation. What feels like loss is actually positioning. And what feels like betrayal is actually the hand of God redirecting your destiny. You are not hearing this by accident. Heaven has waited for the exact moment when your spirit would be ready, steady, and receptive enough to receive what you once were too loyal to see. And yes, loyalty can keep an anointed one in places they've outgrown. Loyalty can blind you to behavior that should have opened your eyes. Loyalty can make you tolerate what God Himself is trying to remove. But the Most High is too invested in your destiny to let a misguided heart sabotage a chosen future. And that is why the veil is lifting now. There is a woman in your family, someone whose face you trusted, whose words you believed, whose needs you tried to carry, who never carried your name with honor. You saw her tears, but heaven saw her intentions. You heard her requests, but heaven heard her whispers. You responded to her needs, but heaven witnessed what she said when you weren't there. And let me tell you this, with the weight of someone who has seen God intervene, heaven does not reveal without reason. When I went through something similar, I remember asking God, why now? Why show me this after all I've done for them? And the answer came gently but firmly, because you're stepping into a season they cannot follow you into. Chosen one. This is your season of separation, not as punishment, but as divine preparation. You are being repositioned for something greater than the space you've been confined to. This betrayal did not downgrade you. It upgraded your discernment. It sharpened your spiritual sight. It uncovered what needed to be removed so your next chapter could unfold without contamination. And I need you to hear me clearly. This is not just about a broken relationship. This is about heaven preparing you for a divine transfer of favor, of peace, of clarity, and yes, even of resources. When God prepares to elevate an anointed one, He deals first with the people attached to them. Not everyone who has eaten from your table is qualified to sit in your next room. Not everyone who has borrowed your strength is meant to witness your breakthrough. Some people are chapters, others are footnotes, and some are simply lessons written in flesh. But here is where the prophetic truth becomes undeniable. The attack against your reputation, your kindness, your motives. Those were never really attacks on you. They were attacks on the calling you carry. You always give differently. You always love differently. You always stand differently. And people who haven't dealt with their insecurities will always misinterpret what they cannot understand. Chosen one. The very reason this betrayal hurts is the same reason heaven is elevating you. You gave with purity in a place that did not have the capacity to receive it. And when God sees that He doesn't let it break you, He uses it to bless you. What you thought was leaking was actually sowing. What you thought was wasted was actually planting. And what you thought was ignored was actually being recorded in heaven's book of remembrance. This is why I need you to breathe deeply now, because what is coming next is not judgment, it is justice. Quiet justice, holy justice, justice that doesn't require your voice, only your obedience. You do not have to explain your withdrawal. You do not have to defend your boundaries. You do not have to justify your clarity. When God shifts your spirit, your steps must follow. And when God reveals truth, He expects alignment. Chosen one. I want you to feel the weight of this next sentence. You are being repositioned for supernatural promotion. Not the type you strive for, but the type God appoints. The type that requires clean surroundings, clear vision, and unbroken focus. The type that requires you to travel light without unnecessary emotional baggage or unhealed attachments slowing your ascent. I don't say this as theory. I say this as someone who woke up one day and realized every painful separation I experienced was actually heaven clearing the path for a blessing I wasn't ready to hold. And I see that same divine pattern unfolding in you. This betrayal is not your ending, it is your unlocking. You are stepping into clarity, authority, and a level of spiritual mastery that only separation can produce. Chosen one. As we step deeper into this revelation, I need you to understand something that most people never grasp until life forces them to discernment is not learned in comfort. Discernment is forged in the fire of disappointment, in the shock of betrayal, in the heaviness of realizing that not everyone you helped was meant to carry your heart with care. And yet, as painful as this realization can be, it is one of the greatest gifts heaven ever gives, an anointed one. Because without discernment, your compassion becomes a doorway for manipulation. Without discernment, your generosity becomes a target. Without discernment, your love becomes a place where unhealed people come to feed, rather than a place where they come to grow. I say this with humility because I have lived it myself. There was a time when I gave without thinking, helped without pausing, and trusted without boundaries. To me, love meant going the extra mile even when I was limping. It meant showing up for people who rarely showed up for me. And when the truth finally unfolded, when I discovered what certain people said behind my back, I felt like my spirit had been shattered. But what I didn't know then is what I can tell you now with absolute certainty. Heaven exposes only to elevate. And the exposure you are receiving right now is signaling that your elevation is closer than you think. Chosen one. There is something sacred about the way God protects those who walk with pure hearts. When heaven sees that your kindness is being abused, it intervenes. When heaven sees that your compassion is being mocked, it steps in. And when heaven sees that your giving is being taken for granted, it removes you from the equation, even if you're too loyal to walk away on your own. The Most High will not allow an anointed one to stay connected to someone who threatens their destiny. That is why this season may feel like pruning, but it is actually preparation. The woman who betrayed your trust did not just mishandle your kindness, she mishandled a gift that heaven placed in front of her. And let me tell you something personal. People rarely recognize the value of a chosen one until the chosen one is gone. I remember the day I finally stepped back from someone who had taken years of my compassion for granted. At first, they didn't care. They didn't notice. But eventually the absence of my presence began to expose the cracks they had been hiding behind. And that's when heaven whispered to me, "Now they see what they lost." You are entering that same season. This distance you are creating is not punishment, it is spiritual safety. It is heaven drawing a line between your calling and their chaos. And while you may feel guilty for stepping back, hear me clearly, guilt is not your guide, peace is. And the peace you are about to enter is going to reveal just how drained you were without even realizing it. Chosen one. Your spirit has been pouring into the wrong soil for too long, and heaven is redirecting you to ground that will actually bear fruit. I know that part of you still wants to believe the best. Part of you still hopes they will change. Part of you feels that saying no is unloving. But what if I told you that saying no is the very thing that unlocks your next miracle? What if I told you that stepping back is what allows God to step in? You cannot carry responsibility for someone who refuses growth. You cannot heal someone who benefits from staying broken. You cannot elevate someone who is committed to misunderstanding you. And you cannot afford to let someone else's immaturity drain the strength you need for your divine assignment. This is bigger than them. This is about the path you are being called to walk. A path of clarity, a path of elevation, a path of spiritual authority, a path that requires both tenderness and wisdom. And wisdom is exactly what is rising within you right now. Chosen one. Even heaven is applauding you in this moment. You may not hear it, but the realms of light celebrate every time an anointed one chooses wisdom over guilt, clarity over confusion, and purpose over attachment. You are not losing anything. What you are feeling is the weight of burdens that were never yours falling off your spirit. And let me speak this into your life with all the authority heaven has given me. As you release this person, heaven is releasing blessings toward you. The moment you stop pouring into dishonor is the moment divine favor begins to flow without resistance. The moment you close the door to manipulation is the moment God opens a door to abundance. You are stepping into a new current of supernatural alignment. The same God who revealed the truth is now positioning you for restoration financially, emotionally, spiritually. Your obedience in this moment is unlocking acceleration. Chosen one. Now that heaven has begun to separate you from what drained you, the next phase of this divine shift begins the restoration of your inner world. Because before God elevates your outer life, He always stabilizes your inner life. Before He places new opportunities in your hands, He strengthens the hands that will carry them. And before He releases a supernatural transfer, He ensures your spirit is mature enough to steward it. This is why the exposure had to come first, so that your heart could finally breathe in an atmosphere free from manipulation, comparison, and hidden jealousy. Let me tell you something from my own journey. When God removed certain people from my life, I didn't realize how much noise they had created in my spirit until they were gone. I didn't realize how much doubt, confusion, and subtle self-questioning their presence produced. It wasn't loud. It wasn't obvious, but it was constant. And the moment their influence lifted, clarity rushed in like fresh air. Thoughts that once felt heavy suddenly felt light. Emotions I thought were normal were actually spiritual weights I had been carrying for years. Chosen one, you are stepping into that same clarity right now. Heaven is untangling the knots in your soul. This woman in your family, this person who misused your kindness, did more than take from you. She clouded your discernment. She planted whispers that made you question yourself. And she positioned herself as someone needing rescue when in truth she needed reflection. But now that heaven has removed the illusion, something powerful is happening inside you. You are learning how to listen to your own spirit again. You are learning how to hear the Holy Spirit without interference. The fog is clearing because the source of the fog is gone. And here is the part that makes this moment sacred. Heaven is not only healing you, but preparing you. Preparing you for connections that will honor your heart instead of draining it. Preparing you for alliances that will protect your calling instead of suffocating it. Preparing you for opportunities that your old circle was never meant to witness. I feel this strongly in my spirit. As I speak to you, your elevation required this separation. What God is about to release into your life cannot coexist with people who envy you more than they support you. And you may not understand this now, but let me paint the picture clearly. When God prepares to trust you with influence, with increase, with divine resources, He will not allow anyone with hidden resentment to sit that close to your blessing. Because the moment God increases, your jealousy multiplies in the wrong hearts. And if the Most High sees that someone is carrying envy in the shadows, He will remove them before the blessing arrives, not because He hates them, but because He loves you. Chosen one. This is the season where God is reintroducing you to yourself. You are remembering your worth. You are reclaiming the parts of your identity that were buried under constant giving. You are rediscovering the power of your no, the authority of your peace, and the strength of your boundaries. And with every layer of healing, heaven prepares a new layer of elevation. I know what it feels like to wonder, why did they treat me like that? What did I do to deserve that? But let me answer that for you with the wisdom of experience. You did nothing wrong. You were simply too pure for someone who wasn't ready to honor purity. Some people aren't threatened by your actions. They're threatened by your light. Your compassion highlighted their selfishness. Your consistency exposed their instability. Your generosity confronted their greed. And instead of rising to match your character, they chose to resent it. But take this truth into your spirit. What they resented in you is what God is about to reward in you. You kept giving even when misunderstood. You kept loving even when taken for granted. You kept believing even when others doubted your intentions. That is the posture heaven honors. That is the posture that attracts divine recompense. And here is where the supernatural dimension enters. Heaven is preparing to return to you what was drained from you. Every tear you cried in silence has been counted. Every moment you questioned yourself has been seen. Every time you lowered your needs to accommodate someone else's chaos has been recorded. And now God is saying, enough. The season of imbalance is ending. The season of restoration is beginning. Chosen one. I need you to understand the weight of what's unfolding. When God restores, He doesn't return what was lost. He multiplies it. The peace you are stepping into will erase years of emotional depletion. The clarity coming to you will break cycles you've battled since childhood. The strength rising within you will make sure you never return to the version of yourself that tolerated dishonor. This is not just healing. This is reordering, realignment, reawakening. Chosen one. Inhale this truth. You are stepping into a season where God Himself becomes your defender, your provider, your vindicator, and your guide. And the next part of your journey will reveal just how intentional heaven has been with your destiny. Chosen one. As we continue walking through this divine unveiling, I want to draw your attention to a truth that many overlook, yet it shapes the entire destiny of every anointed one. Before God accelerates your life, He purifies your environment. Before he enlarges your territory, he removes anything that cannot survive at the altitude you are rising to. And that includes people. That includes familiar faces. That includes long-standing ties you once assumed were permanent. Heaven does not clear your path to hurt you. Heaven clears your path so you can breathe, rise and walk without sabotage clinging to your ankles. I say this because I've experienced it myself. There were seasons when God began disconnecting me from people I thought would be with me forever. At first I resisted it. I questioned it. I felt guilty for stepping back even when my spirit was suffocating in their presence. It wasn't until later, much later, that I realized something profound. My spirit had been fighting battles my mind had not yet understood. The heaviness I felt wasn't confusion. It was spiritual misalignment. The fatigue I carried wasn't weakness. It was heaven signaling that certain relationships had expired. Chosen one, the same thing is happening to you. And it had to, because you cannot bring old spiritual clutter into a new divine season. You cannot carry emotional liabilities into a future God designed for abundance. You cannot allow someone who secretly resents you to occupy the same space where God intends to bless you. That is why heaven is interrupting your attachments. That is why the truth is being revealed now. Not to puncture your heart, but to purify your future. And I need you to hear this with spiritual clarity. You are not being isolated. Your anointing is being insulated. There's a difference. Isolation is when life pulls you away without purpose. Insulation is when heaven surrounds you because you have treasure inside that must be protected. And you, chosen one, carry treasure, divine treasure. You carry spiritual wealth, emotional depth, and a calling that has the potential to shift atmospheres and break generational patterns. That is why heaven refuses to let the wrong hands handle your heart any longer. You cannot be accessible to everyone in this season. You cannot pour where dishonor lives. You cannot be available to people who feed on your kindness, but starve your peace. Let me speak from personal experience again, because I know what this looks like in real life. There was a time when I kept helping someone who drained me emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. I excused their behavior. I justified their actions. I convinced myself that love covers all. But eventually I realized that love does not tolerate abuse. Love does not enable manipulation. Love does not ask you to betray your own soul just to soothe someone else's ego. When I finally stepped back, I discovered parts of myself I didn't even know were exhausted. And that's when heaven whispered to me, I couldn't elevate you because you kept tying yourself to someone who insisted on staying low. Chosen one, that is exactly what heaven is doing for you now, untangling you from what cannot rise. And now that you are free, or beginning to be free, something powerful is happening. Your spiritual sensitivity is returning. Your intuition is sharper. Your peace is louder. Your discernment is awakening. You are beginning to notice subtle shifts, small nudges, whispers from the Spirit that you couldn't hear clearly before. This is not your imagination. This is your spiritual clarity being restored. Chosen one, you are stepping into a phase where heaven is going to train you in the art of sacred boundaries. This is spiritual maturity. This is emotional wisdom. This is what separates those who burn out from those who walk in sustained destiny. You are learning when to pour and when to pause, when to speak and when to remain silent, when to step forward and when to step away. And here is a truth you must anchor yourself in. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Silence gives heaven room to work. Silence removes you from unnecessary spiritual warfare. Silence protects your peace from manipulation, and silence creates a divine barrier between you and those who have mismanaged your trust. Chosen one. Something else is happening beneath the surface that you may not see yet. Heaven is preparing new connections for you, people who will honor your heart, people who will match your energy instead of draining it, people who will stand beside you rather than take advantage of you, people who will celebrate you instead of secretly resenting you. These individuals are being positioned, aligned, and drawn toward your life even now. And when they arrive, you will recognize them instantly, not by their words, but by the peace your spirit feels around them, because peace is the new indicator, peace is the new confirmation, peace is the new protection. And hear me clearly, your peace is about to become expensive. Too expensive to be spent on arguments, too expensive to be thrown into other people's chaos, too expensive to be drained by emotional takers. Peace will guide you. Peace will guard you. Peace will reveal what your eyes cannot see. Chosen one. There is so much more heaven is unfolding for you. And in the next part, we will step into what this separation is truly preparing you for the divine elevation and supernatural recompense that are already on their way to your life. Chosen one, now that heaven has stripped away what could not walk with you, you are entering the phase that every anointed one eventually faces, the phase where God begins to rebuild you from the inside out. This is where divine realignment takes shape. This is where spiritual foundations strengthen. This is where your identity, once shaken by betrayal, begins to anchor itself again, not in validation, not in relationships, not in what you give, but in who you truly are under the gaze of God. And I need you to feel this. You are not being rebuilt because you were broken. You are being rebuilt because you are being upgraded. You are being prepared. You are being fortified. There is a difference between being healed and being prepared. Healing restores what was damaged. Preparation strengthens what is about to rise. And you, chosen one, are rising. When I walked through my own season of separation, I didn't understand just how deeply certain relationships had influenced my sense of self. I didn't realize how much I had internalized the opinions and behavior of those who never truly valued me. It wasn't until I stepped away, until heaven forced that distance, that I realized how much of myself had been shaped by trying to keep peace with the wrong people. It took time, silence, and spiritual honesty for me to see who I really was beneath the exhaustion. And that is the same revelation forming in you. This is the time when God begins to return your spiritual voice. That voice you silenced to keep others comfortable. That voice you swallowed to avoid conflict. That voice you muted because you were afraid of being misunderstood. Heaven is bringing it back. And not as a whisper, your voice will return as authority, as clarity, as spiritual weight. You will begin to notice that your thoughts are becoming clearer, your decisions firmer, your spirit steadier. Situations that once confused you will suddenly feel obvious. People who once clouded your intuition will no longer be able to influence you. This is not coincidence. This is recalibration. When God removes the wrong presence, He restores the right perspective. Chosen one. This part of the journey is sacred because it is quiet, it is subtle, it is internal. It is the place where God sits with you in silence and rewrites the parts of your spirit that pain tried to distort. And while you may not see the effects immediately, the transformation is already in motion. Others will notice it before you do. Your peace will deepen your energy, will shift your standards, will rise. And as heaven works on your inner world, something else begins to happen. Your external world starts aligning. Doors that were once closed begin to open with ease. Opportunities that felt distant begin returning. Favor that seemed scattered suddenly gathers around you again. But this time the blessings will not slip through your fingers because your heart is no longer leaking through emotional wounds. I want you to understand something deeply. When God prunes relationships, He always sends replacements. Not replacements for people, but replacements for what you lost emotionally. Where you lost support, He will give strength. Where you lost comfort, He will give clarity. Where you lost affirmation, He will give confidence. And where you lost false loyalty, He will give authentic connection. This is also the phase where you begin to see just how much heaven has been protecting you. In my own life, when God removed certain people, I later found out things that would have crippled me had I stayed connected. Things done in secret. Words spoken behind closed doors. Intentions that were never pure. And suddenly what felt painful began to make sense. What felt unfair became a blessing. What felt confusing became clarity. That is the same revelation coming to you. And then comes one of the most powerful transformations of all: the shift in your spiritual posture. You will stop giving from fear or obligation. You will stop helping to prove your worth. You will stop sacrificing yourself to maintain connections that drain you. Instead, you will begin giving from wisdom, from clarity, from overflow. You will learn to give without losing yourself, love without being used, support without self-betrayal. Your boundaries will become an expression of your spiritual alignment, not your fear. Your silence will become a form of strength, not avoidance. Your discernment will become automatic, not forced. And people will begin to treat you differently, not because they changed, but because your spirit did. You will no longer attract takers. Your energy will no longer be accessible to manipulators. Your presence will no longer feel familiar to those who once mistreated it. Chosen one. Everything about you is leveling up: your identity, your spirit, your mindset, your emotional balance. And because of this internal upgrade, heaven is positioning you for an external one. You are being prepared for new environments, new connections, new responsibilities, and new blessings. And this time, nothing will be able to sabotage it. Not others, not circumstances, and not the unhealed parts of yourself that once stayed silent. Chosen one. Now that your inner world has been restored and your spirit has regained its strength, heaven begins to turn your attention toward what is coming next. And what is coming is not small, it is not ordinary, it is not something you will have to fight for, beg for, or chase. What is coming is a divine release, an outpouring of blessings that were stored, protected, and preserved for the version of you that is finally emerging. You may not feel it yet, but you are standing at the threshold of a supernatural shift. Something in the unseen has already moved in your favor. Heaven has already issued commands concerning your next season. Angels have already been dispatched with assignments tied to your name. And this is why, even before anything changes around you, something is changing inside you. That stirring you feel is not anxiety. That anticipation in your spirit is not imagination. It is alignment. I have lived through this feeling before, this strange mix of peace and readiness, this inner knowing that something different is approaching. At first, I didn't understand it. It felt like spiritual restlessness, like my spirit was leaning into something I couldn't yet see. But every time I felt this way without fail, heaven was preparing to elevate me. And I see that same spiritual posture forming in you now. Chosen one. When heaven prepares to reward you, it begins by renewing your appetite for more. Not more people, not more noise, not more chaos, but more purpose, more clarity, more of what aligns with your calling. Your spirit begins to crave what your environment hasn't yet caught up to. This is the sign that breakthrough is already on the way. And listen closely, this next blessing is not compensation for what you lost. It is multiplication because of what you survived. Heaven does not repay you based on the damage done to you. Heaven rewards you based on the strength you showed through it. And you showed strength even when you didn't feel strong. You endured more than you ever admitted. You carried more than anyone knew. And heaven saw it all. This is why your next season will not be built on struggle. It will be built on grace. Things that once felt heavy will now feel light. Things that once required effort will now flow. You are stepping into prepared places, into opportunities that were shaped specifically for who you are becoming. And let me say this with conviction, what is coming toward you is stable, it is clean, it is peaceful. It carries no hidden agendas, no emotional traps, no spiritual weight. It will allow you to grow without being drained and give without being used. This blessing is safe because you are finally safe within yourself. Chosen one, heaven is not just restoring you. Heaven is re-establishing you, repositioning you, elevating you into a level of life where your spirit, your boundaries, and your purpose can thrive without compromise. Chosen one, now that heaven has aligned your spirit with what is coming, the next phase unfolds in quiet but undeniable strength. The phase where God begins to bring justice into your story. Not the kind of justice the world imagines loud or dramatic, but the kind that moves in silence, correcting what was distorted and restoring what was taken. The kind that doesn't need your voice, your argument, or your defense, because heaven itself becomes your witness. There is a reason you were urged to step back. There is a reason truth surfaced when it did. There is a reason your heart felt the shift before your mind understood it. Heaven wasn't just separating you from the wrong person, it was separating your destiny from their influence. And now that the separation is complete, heaven begins the work of vindication. I've lived this more than once. There were seasons when I didn't defend myself. Seasons when lies spread without my response. Seasons when I chose silence, not because I was weak, but because something in me knew heaven was watching. And every time I chose silence, heaven chose action. Doors opened. Opportunities emerged. People who once believed lies came back with apologies I never asked for. I learned that real vindication never comes from your mouth. It comes from God's timing. Chosen one, your vindication has already begun. You may not see it yet, but it is unfolding in conversations. You're not a part of in hearts that are being convicted in situations where your name is being re-evaluated. Heaven is exposing truth, not to shame anyone, but to elevate you, not to bring revenge, but to bring restoration. And hear this, what they meant for harm became the very soil where your growth took root. What they whispered in darkness will become the reason your light rises publicly. What they misjudged in you will become what God blesses openly. The same mouths that questioned your character will witness your elevation. The same hearts that misunderstood you will watch your purpose unfold with grace they cannot deny. But the most powerful part is this: you will not rise with bitterness. You will not rise with pride. You will rise with peace, and that peace will speak louder than any explanation you could ever give. Chosen one. This next phase of your journey is where God begins to shift the narrative, where the story that was once marked by betrayal becomes marked by breakthrough, where the tears you cried become seeds of unexpected blessings, where the pain you endured becomes the platform for your promotion. You are stepping into a chapter where you no longer chase understanding. You no longer try to prove your worth. You no longer shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You stand, you breathe, you remain aligned with heaven. And because of this alignment, doors that were closed will now open simply because you arrive. This is heavenly vindication. This is divine justice. This is the quiet but unstoppable elevation of someone who refused to let pain corrupt their heart. Chosen one. As you step into this next movement of your destiny, heaven shifts its focus from vindication to restoration. Vindication clears what was distorted. Restoration rebuilds what was broken. And the restoration assigned to you is not symbolic or surface level. It is deep, it is personal, and it is timely. Heaven is not simply returning what was taken. Heaven is returning what was delayed, forgotten, or quietly sacrificed during the seasons when you kept giving without being honored. Restoration is not a moment. It is a flow, and that flow has begun. You may feel a soft rearranging in your spirit, a sense that you're no longer operating from the same emotional weight you once did. This is the early sign of renewal. The Most High is restoring what betrayal drained from you: clarity, peace, and trust in your own intuition. Restoration always begins internally before it manifests externally. I've walked through this season myself. It didn't begin with financial increase or new opportunities, those came later. It started with the heaviness lifting, with waking up one day and realizing my spirit felt lighter. That's when I learned a truth I still carry. The first sign of restoration is relief, not reward. Chosen. 1. Heaven is relieving you. This is why some memories no longer sting. This is why certain names don't trigger the same reaction. This is why you feel yourself returning to who you were before the exhaustion. Heaven restores the vessel before it restores the blessing. But do not doubt, external restoration will come. The Most High restores in layers. First comes internal healing, then relational clarity, then divine replacement. You are entering divine replacement now. Divine replacement means heaven fills every empty space with purpose, every gap with alignment, every loss with substance. Heaven is not sending you random people, it is sending you the right people. People who understand your heart, honor your presence, and recognize your worth without needing explanation. People who walk beside you, not behind you, with hidden intentions. And yes, divine replacement includes financial alignment. When you stop pouring your resources into dishonor, heaven redirects them toward growth. I've experienced this. Once I stepped away from unhealthy connections, everything in my life began to stabilize. Provision showed up. Doors opened. Opportunities that were once blocked suddenly moved. It was not coincidence. It was alignment. Chosen. One heaven is sealing your leaks. Every place where your energy drained, every place where your peace was stolen, every place where your resources vanished into ungrateful hands, those leaks are being closed. And once they close, you will finally see how much God had been trying to release to you all along. Your restoration season is also a season of redefinition. You are redefining who gets access to you. You are redefining what peace looks like. You are redefining what love means, because real love is honored, not drained. Real love is mutual, not manipulative. The woman who mishandled your kindness was not the obstacle. She was the mirror. She showed you that purity without boundaries becomes vulnerability. She revealed that not every familiar face carries a trustworthy spirit. Because you learned the lesson, heaven is releasing the blessing. Restoration will show up in your thoughts, your relationships, your opportunities, and your finances. Where there was draining, there will be increase. Where there was confusion, there will be clarity. Where there was misuse, there will be honor. Chosen one. Heaven is restoring you not to who you were, but to who you were always meant to be. Chosen one. As we come to the end of this sacred message, let your spirit rest in one undeniable truth. Heaven has already moved on your behalf. What felt like loss was realignment. What felt like separation was protection, and what felt like a closed door was the gentle hand of God guiding you into a season prepared long before you ever arrived here. You are not leaving this video empty. You are leaving with clarity, with peace, and with the mantle of someone who has stepped into their Kairos moment, their divinely appointed time. The supernatural transfer has already begun. Heaven is shifting resources, relationships, and opportunities into the hands of the Anointed One who has chosen obedience over chaos, wisdom over guilt, and silence over unnecessary battles. Chosen one, walk forward, knowing that every step you take from this moment on is guided. What once weighed you down has been lifted. What once drained you has been sealed. And what once confused you has been replaced with holy discernment. You are being positioned, strengthened, and prepared for blessings that match the purity of your heart. As you step into your new chapter, carry this blessing. May your peace deepen, may your discernment sharpen, and may your steps be lit with divine favor. May every seed you planted in tears return to you in abundance. May heaven surround your home, your mind, and your destiny with unshakable protection. If this word touched you, let your agreement be known. Leave a simple, I receive it as a declaration of faith. And if you feel led, remain connected here so you never miss the messages heaven sends to guide you. Until we meet again, chosen one, may your silence carry power, your wisdom carry honor, and your journey be guarded by the Most High.